Hello lovelies, slip dresses are everywhere in 2025, from the runway to street style to probably in your closet. But how do we make them feel fresh and relevant in 2025? Today I'm breaking down 7 very wearable ways that you can style your slip dress to be classic, relevant, and most importantly, comfortable. And make sure to stay to the end of the video where I'll be covering the do's and don'ts of wearing your slip dress so that you nail that Pinterest perfect look flawlessly. I'm Ziba and I'm so happy you're here. Make sure to hit the subscribe button for more styling videos. I'm a 90s girl through and through, but more importantly, I'm a stylist that loves helping you find your personal style outfits and make sense of the amazing fashion world. The first way to style your slip dress in 2025 is by thinking of it as a layer. So let's break that down. You can always layer something underneath. One of the things that I really love to layer under my slip dresses are either a tank top, a t-shirt, or even like a mesh top. And very trendy right now. We've seen so many sheer fabrics kind of take over the fashion landscape, and that is showing no signs of slowing down with the incorporation of more of like the chiffon, billowy romantic pieces, as well as lace. You love that kind of 90s vibe of wearing a t-shirt underneath. It's a great way to start layering, especially as it gets a little bit cooler in the fall months. Alternatively, instead of layering under, you can always layer over your slip dress. This is one of the reasons I really love slip dresses, is because they are chameleons. You can easily convert them depending on the occasion, on your mood, on the weather. And a really fantastic way to get more out of your wardrobe is by layering on a top or a knit when it gets a little bit cooler, securing it with a belt. It's so easy to do. One of my favorite fashion hacks is to use an elastic band that you can buy on Amazon and just use it as a way to secure your top. Tie it around, adjust it to your waist, and then just kind of pull the fabric over. What I love about this hack is that you can find sometimes a knit that's slightly longer than you would like it, and you can easily convert it, and you have that beautiful kind of like satiny fabric, and then you have a cashmere or wool sweater. It really has a nice tension with juxtaposition styling. And the other layer that you can add is the second way that I recommend you style slip dresses in 2025, which is adding a blazer, which instantly adds shape and structure in more of like a masculine vibe. It's a very feminine and pretty piece. So you have something like what I'm wearing right now, where it's like really dainty, arguably like borderline nightgown, which by the way is extremely trendy right now. I just saw a whole feature on how Bella Hadid is wearing this mango dress that has like lace right in the center. It's also like a very beautiful ivory color that looks very much like she could potentially sleep in it. This is how we're seeing the night to day dressing come to life, is having these pieces that are a little bit ambiguous. As long as they're lined and not see-through, I think it's a really great trend and it's very comfortable. There's some people that don't like blazers or just don't find use for them and want a more casual vibe. Another really great alternative to that is using either a denim jacket or an oversized moto or bomber that still gives that very edgy kind of cool vibe, and again gives it that tension that the dress needs to look like a very chic outfit. Now the other way to add tension other than your third layer is with your footwear, and that brings us to number 3. Some of the most relevant ways that we are seeing slip dresses in 2025 are with, wait for it, you're not gonna guess it, Western boots. I have a video dedicated to styling Western boots in 2025. I'm from Texas. I live and breathe Western boots, and I love that they're becoming very much a part of today's fashion world because I think that they're so fun, and most of the time they're super comfortable. And I'm not talking about like the super like embroidered, bedazzled, I'm gonna go find my horse and ride off into the Western sunset kind of vibe. I'm talking more of the shape of them, which can be very elongating when you have that some curves. I think it just looks so flattering and really helps elongate your legs as well. And the reason we're seeing this is because the Western bohemian revival is just been very present in 2025. It's one of those aesthetics that, because it's so wearable and it's also feminine, it's gonna be around for a while. So thinking about like that coastal cowgirl inspiration of silver accessories, maybe a braided belt, fringed bag, or a fringed jacket. We're seeing a lot of fringed outerwear at the moment that is super fun. So kind of channeling coastal cowgirl aesthetic into the mix is a great way to breathe life into your slip dress. Alternatively, if you have a very casual style, one of the best ways that you can wear your slip dress is with sneakers, a hat, a bomber jacket, a crossbody bag, to have that very on the go, I'm doing errands type of vibe. And the best part is that you're comfortable and it's really easy to transform this dress with just a quick swap of footwear. I feel like every time that I wear this look, I feel like I'm an undercover celebrity. You know how sometimes they kind of like, they still want to look put together, but you can tell that they've called the paparazzi on themselves for the coffee run. Like, that's how I feel. So give it a try. You know, if you have a go-to undercover celebrity look, drop it down below so that we can all emulate it. The fifth way to style your slip dress is by leaning into the color and texture trends that we're seeing in 2025. Specifically, all the glossy sheen we're seeing all over the runway, and it's almost like there's this desire to glow like a firefly, in my opinion. Think satin and metallics and kind of unexpected colors like emerald, butter yellow, kind of like that ice blue steals the show. This is a great way to wear a slip dress when maybe you have a more of an occasion dress, perhaps a wedding, or more of a high profile date night, if you will. And in terms of texture, kind of like how I'm wearing here with the lace detail, this is something that we just keep seeing over and over again, slip skirts and in camisoles. I was so lucky to find this dress because I've worn it so much. It's so comfortable and it's extremely feminine and pretty, and a nod to that nightgown trend, but it's not see-through and it's not too thin so that it doesn't feel like I'm just kind of like jiggling out in the wild by myself, if you know what I mean. Sometimes like materials are too thin, I just don't feel confident, you know, I don't feel supported. So it's kind of like a litmus test, is making sure that it's not too thin. The next way to style your slip dress in 2025 is with a cardigan. It adds texture. Cardigans had a big comeback last year and they're still so huge. This year we're seeing them in a huge array of colors. So grabbing one in your favorite color. We all have a cardigan in our closet. It's really easy to style, but it's a very deliberate choice. So it's not about making it look like a skirt, like the way we did in number 2, where we're layering on kind of like a chunky knit and we're transforming the dress into a skirt. This is very much still a dress look, but it looks a little bit more ladylike and dainty, and it's a great way to cover up maybe if you're going to like a luncheon or the club or church or something where you maybe don't want to like show up like this, bring on like something to cover your shoulders. While we're at it, so I'm an A cup, and I recently discovered this bra by Third Love. And I'm just mentioning to you in case you have a very small chest like I do, but you still want like a little bit of shape. The one that it gives me is pretty remarkable, given that I have very little to work with. So if you have very little to work with and you want a no wire push-up bra that's super comfortable that you forget you're wearing, like it feels like kind of like a bralette that you wear at home, that's what it feels like, except the results are like a lot better. So moving on, the 7th way to wear a slip dress is styling hacks and accessories. So adding a belt, I'm a huge fan. I've added a belt to this one. I love wearing brown and black, and I found that wearing a brown belt with this was just the chef's kiss kind of look for me. I love the way it looks. I wore it on date night when I was out of town. Felt like, you know, when you love your outfit and you just like know it and you want to remember it and wear it next time. That's how I felt about this outfit. Adding any kind of belt. I also just recently found this really gorgeous kind of like double loop belt that's in one. So belt stacking is really relevant in 2025. So if you want to incorporate that trend, but you don't want to bother with like a ton of mismatched belts, this belt is really great. The other way that I've seen style it, especially on TikTok, is just wearing it backwards. So maybe if you have a detail that you want to highlight and kind of make it into more of like a V backless type of dress, or if there's a zipper in the back that you want to highlight, it's a fantastic way to easily have a completely different look. And I've actually done this in the past more with like the Skims dress, like where I flip it backwards because the Skims dress has like a scoop neck, but sometimes I want like a boat neck, and it's a really easy way to just get a different look. And as promised, the do's and don'ts of wearing a slip dress. Number 1 is let's get rid of the static. Easy ways to make sure that you don't have static is by moisturizing your garment. And I know it sounds funny, but it's like adding hydration. So hanging it up in the shower, spraying it from far away with hairspray works. So just kind of like mists the dress, make sure not to get too close so it doesn't stain. Running it through a metallic hanger. The metal helps extract that electricity right out of there. And then the third way is to moisturize your legs, because again, it's a way to kind of be in a hydrated environment, and so it doesn't cling on. So dryness to dryness, dry legs, like very dry dress is going to create a lot of static. The second thing that we cannot ignore is our underwear. What are we wearing underneath? Slip dresses in general tend to not be super form-fitting. However, because they are a little thinner, you want to make sure that you are wearing very smoothing underwear so that when it does touch your body, it looks beautifully and aesthetic, versus like you see creases of your VPL or maybe some cellulite. Like even though I'm more petite, like I have a lot of cellulite in my hips and thighs. So that's something that I'm mindful of when I'm wearing a thinner material. I love wearing underwear that kind of like smooths out throughout the top of my leg. I found these by Soma and I've been really happy with them, especially when I wear white trousers. It's a great way to kind of like shape without feeling like that sausagey feeling that sometimes shapewear can do. So it's kind of like the very bottom tier of shapewear. It's still more like underwear and very soft versus like, you know, suctioning, and sometimes that can be counterproductive and then you're uncomfortable. But just be mindful of it. At the very least, if you don't want to wear something like that, wearing very thin, seamless underwear or a thong, I can never seem to wear, is something that I would recommend you do. The other thing you shouldn't do is buy low quality material or something that's very cheap, because it's not going to do you any favors and it's not going to age well. Sometimes spending a little bit more money is going to go a lot further in flattering how long you're going to wear it, how it's going to hold up against like dry cleaning it, all the things. That's the other thing. I wouldn't recommend that you wash it. I have washed some of my slip dresses in the past and they never kind of look the same, especially if they have that nice satin finish and they're glossy. They just kind of lose their luster. So I would recommend that you go the extra mile and dry clean it. A do is to play around with lengths, because not all of them will fit your lifestyle primarily. There's some really beautiful slip dresses that I see out there on social media that I love the way they look, but then once I'm actually wearing something like that, I feel very claustrophobic because I can't walk because it's so long, or because it gets really dirty because it's hitting the floor. So just being mindful of that. Having said that, if you want that dramatic look for a special occasion, then then go for it. I love it when you find something that kind of fulfills like a styling fantasy. I think it's really important for us and our confidence to find a moment like that. In terms of footwear, the slip dress is so forgiving. Look back at the 90s, you can see how we wore them with Doc Martens and moto boots. Now we're seeing them with Western boots, ballet slippers, sandals, thongs. I mean, whatever your heart desire, they're kind of like wide leg jeans, if you will, that you can get away with anything. The one thing I will caution you on that always makes me like twitch a little bit is when I see the hemline and then I see the skin gap and then I see an ankle boot. It just makes me, how would the look have been so much cleaner, so much more elongating if we hadn't seen that little gap? So that's really what I'll caution you with. And if you love the 90s, make sure to check out my video on Carolyn Bessette Kennedy, her styling, how to shop your closet to emulate her style. And if you learned something today, make sure to hit the subscribe button.